My name's Ian Law, and this is a short story I wrote called A Poor Pupil's Predicament. Let's put my glasses on. Finding some old diaries recently, I realised that when I was about 8, we were a very poor family. Mum had long since left, and Dad, as a salesman, didn't have a job. Life was a struggle, until eventually Dad got a job selling Jaguar cars, which meant that we had to move to a new town, to another part of the country. Worse still, I had to go to a new school. With the new job, Dad got a car, a shiny green Jaguar, with 4 doors, leather seats, and lots of silver bits. Dad was very proud. I was too. Every day, Dad took me to school in the car, where I had to get out in front of the school playground. The playground had a high wire mesh fence with tall trees behind it. Every morning, in the shade of one, there's always the same boy, watching. He didn't say anything, but he made faces. I didn't like him. He had a hole in his trousers. His hair was unwashed and messy. He didn't know it, but we were as poor as he was, except my dad had a car, a Jaguar car. I think he thought we were rich. He never spoke to me, he just looked. I didn't like it. He was older than me and was known as a rough kid. Every day he just looked at me. Every day I felt I was scared. Sometimes he had his hood up, and other days he had his scraggy fringe over his eyes, but I knew he was always watching me, making faces, hating me and my car. Sadly, Dad had an accident. He spent a long time in hospital. He lost his job, and with it went the car. Granny stayed at our house and helped nurse Dad. She began to take him to school on the bus. One bright morning, after a few days of travelling on the bus, I got off at the school stop and walked past the school gate, towards the school gates and past the tall trees. And as usual, I could see the boy in the shade by the fence, just watching. For the first time, we looked at each other, and at last he could see that I didn't have a car. He could see that I came now on the school bus. Could he not see that I was the same as him? I wanted to tell him. I just wanted to be friends. I wanted to say my dad wasn't well. At last he could see that the barriers between us had been removed, had been taken away. I walked through the school gate with a new spring in my heel. At last I was happy. At last the threat could be lifted. And that was the day he chose to beat me up.